This is Tony. Hope you're all doing well. We're going to get into actually a ton of stuff. In this video, we have restaurants, fast food restaurants, shutting down like never before because people simply can't afford anything. We have tons of stuff going on around us. We're going to get into what's going on, of course, in the Middle East. We got the LGBT, of course, movement apparently also shutting down. We'll get into that. We're going to get into a number of other things as well. Some miracles. But we have also a billionaire getting caught at a certain meeting. And it shows you exactly what we thought was really happening. And as someone that's been sort of like, well, is he good or bad? I don't know. We'll get into that as well. Let's just get going here. Let's start with Walmart. Yeah, I mentioned that first, didn't I? Where did that go? Here we go. You got here Walmart boycotts, gains some steam. Posts about, of course, no kings. Obviously, the Harris, that billionaire, what is her name? Christie Walton, apparently putting money behind their ads. I'm wondering if this is going to go far or not. It's curious because, you know, sometimes they really go far. We saw what happened to Bud Light. Walmart's a bigger company, I would say, although this is a pretty big issue. Could this be the next Bud Light? I don't know. It's a good question. I know a lot of people in the comments section were saying they're not going to be shopping at Walmart. And I'm curious how far this is going to go. They tried, they stepped in it, but they pulled back pretty quickly. And it is one person. It's not all the owners. She happens to not be she's like the wife of the son of Sam Walton. Some are trying to argue it that way. It's not really necessarily related. There's like 5 or 6 of these. I think he had like 5 kids or something. So it's not the only owner or something. So it's an interesting question. I don't know what will happen with that. We have, of course, lots of restaurants going out of business. Check this out.
Fast food giants are collapsing really quick, and your favorite spot could be next. In just the past year, Subway shut down over 1,000 stores. KFC pulled out of entire states like Louisiana. And Domino's reported a staggering 133% drop in same-store sales.
That's crazy, man.
The competition is ruthless.
See, that's exactly what I was thinking. If you look at the charts on how much people are making, money-wise, wages, it's literally went down over the last couple of years. While inflation, of course, has went up. Recently, inflation's been more sideways the last few months, but it's still slightly going up. It's still not sideways, right? It's not even going down yet. Although we did see a little bit of a dip in fast food for a short time. It did actually go negative when our president first got in, but it is still going up a little bit. The fact is, people are already broke. They've been broke for a few years now. I called it like 2.5 years. I think I called it 2 years ago. I'm like, you can see the inflection point between inflation and people's wages about 2 years ago. Now people have been running on fumes. They're making less than they can't even afford their bills anymore. So it makes sense that you're going to see things like Domino's losing 133% of their business, down 133%. It makes perfect sense. And of course, you can see a lot of underperforming chains have been going out of business left and right, but they're still somehow managing to stay in business, a lot of them. And of course, we're also seeing not only are fast food businesses going under, we're seeing the LGBT, of course, movement also going under. And it's really interesting why. But check this out.
My name is Diddy.
Very unfortunate name.
And I'm non-binary.
Oh my goodness. She's non-binary.
My pronouns are she, they.
Oh my.
And I'm queer.
Super
What
emotional.
a gift to be here for who we are, this queering of the church.
Happy Pride to everyone except for my 7 children who have all betrayed me by being straight.
Bringing your kid to a Pride.
That one, the third one, oh, it gets me, man. That's so crazy. Look at her face. So, okay, you just think this one through. Who has 7 kids? Anybody on, the left? Probably not. Probably a super conservative or religious mother. Maybe went to a super uber conservative church. That one's having 7 kids, or maybe a Mormon. It could be a Mormon. It could be, it's someone religious, probably, most likely. I'm guessing what happened was she had all 7 kids. Maybe she was even a stay-at-home mom. I don't know. And then one day she saw some video or read some book about, finding or discovering herself. And now she realized that she's, of course, gay. And then she tries to convince all her kids to become it. And then they don't become it. And then she's angry and disappointed about it. That's probably what it was. Absolutely ridiculous. Now, this here is actually the clip that sort of transitions, ironically, from the gay topic, of course, to what they now are promoting everywhere, which has to do with, the not-so-legals, the migrants. We have here Elon Musk's trans daughter, Vivian, makes her drag debut at Anti-ICE show to raise money for an immigrant defense fund. Of course. Out, of course, with the gay. Now we're in with this stuff instead. And you can see her dance moves here. Oh, my goodness. Obviously, that's a whole nother thing. That's one of Elon Musk's kids. Obviously, early on, he was just trying to have kids. He would literally, like, someone wants one, he'd be like, okay, I'll just give you one, Like, that's how he was. I think it was in vitro in this case. You get the idea. But I'm hoping he's a little bit more of a family man now. I think he is. I think he's realized that's not the best way, what he was doing before. But we have another billionaire here, Peter Thiel, being confronted and screamed at by a woman, saying he is, of course, evil, and a little bit more than that. He was at one of these meetings. Now, this is the guy behind Palantir. Palantir, I talked about that probably last week, that some people were saying, hey, we should use this Palantir to figure out who, of course, is legal and not. And then I said, this is a very, very bad idea. We don't need this thing anywhere. This could be used for lots and lots of bad things in the future. Just kind of like the Patriot, of course, Act was. A decade down the road, it could be used for really, really not good stuff. And, of course, that I think was entirely their plan, considering the fact he went to this meeting here, right? And he's being caught coming out of the meeting quickly to get into his car. It looks like a Mercedes or something. At any rate, we're going to get into a ton of stuff in this video. We're going to talk about the Middle East. We're going to talk about this, fans, of course, woman here who's actually a believer, believe it or not. And we're going to get into actually what's going on in Chicago with this No Kings thing and a ton of other stuff, actually. First of all, I got to mention food supply, 25-year shelf life. Link is in the description. With all the wonderful things happening around us, you're going to definitely want to have that before something happens. All these wonderful protests and just stuff going on in the Middle East. You never know what's next, my friends. It's only $4.97, cheapest price they've had ever since I've been promoting this. Link is in the description. This book here, The Lost Ways, how your great-great-grandfather lived without electricity, how to build a cellar, how to build a can stacker, how to build anything you need to know how to do if you have no electricity, because that could easily happen. Look at what's going on around us, honestly. It's wise to have. It's very cheap, $37. Get the printed version. Link is in the description for that. And go check out my website, GR Videos. Got lots of awesome stuff over there as well. And let's get back to the video. So, of course, we have what's going on in the Middle East right now. Apparently, Bibi here has been requesting over and over for us to just join him. Come on, man. Just help us out over here. And our president's like, no. No, we're not going to help you out, bro. No, actually, let's just make a deal. You should make a deal, and we'll make a deal. He says Iran and Israel should make a deal and will make a deal, just like I got India and Pakistan to make in the case by using trade with the United States to bring reason, cohesion, and sanity into the talks with two excellent leaders who were able to quickly make a decision and stop. So, look, this is obviously the right way forward. I think there's a reason why we see what's going on. There's a reason why this man here, which I'm going to play in a second, who's requesting a second or third time now for us to join, there's a reason why he's doing this.
If it's fake talks, obviously not. If Iran will relinquish the means to destroy our country, then obviously it's preferable to anything else. But That hasn't happened so far, and frankly, I doubt it's going to happen now.
But he said Iran and Israel should make a deal and will make a deal. How do you explain that disconnect? He seems very...
Of course, he doesn't like that. I think the reason why he's doing it is because he wants to have the Middle East a certain way. He wants countries he don't like to have their leadership changed. And this is one of the countries that he doesn't like at all. So I think that's what it comes back to, is he just simply wants the Middle East to be what he wants it to be. And this is his way of trying to do that. But I think in reality, he's bitten off more than he can chew. And we're not going to join because I think it could end up becoming a world version. Right? And there's literally no reason to do this. There's no reason for war, period. You can always make a deal. And it's just because of people wanting more than they really should have, trying to get more than they should have. That's what it usually comes back to. Money, greed, of course, power, things of that nature. Anyway, I think you get kind of the idea. That's kind of my thoughts on it. We have also what's going on in Chicago. ICE, of course, showing up there for just a dozen people. They're going to get a dozen people. I mean, that's not really that many. Apparently, meeting some of the No Kings protesters. Check this out.
Confusion did turn into outrage as more than a dozen people were put into trucks by ICE agents and driven away. Now that happened just about exactly an hour ago.
So an ICE team was conducting operations in Chicago when they were confronted by angry demonstrators.
Of course.
Who were joined by city leaders, turning what should have been a peaceful detainment into a very tense...
Oh my goodness, of course. This has all become political. And you know what? 2 decades ago, a decade ago, even a decade ago, 2 decades ago, the very people that are against our president right now were saying the exact same thing. Particularly Barack was saying the exact same thing. I've played clips. I think I've played a clip showing this in the past. He was saying the literal exact same thing. Multiple leaders on their side were saying the same thing in the past. Now it's just not what they want. It's not conveniently what they want, of course. We got Mel Gibson talking about this whole No Kings thing. Check this out.
Gavin Newsome and Karen Bass have already proven their incompetence and poor leadership during the Los Angeles wildfires. Now, as we experience rampant lawlessness and civil unrest, it's never been more clear they're unable to respond effectively and responsibly during calamity. Whether it's sheer incompetence or outright malevolence, the reality is stark. California's in a state of turmoil, and I ask my fellow Angelenos, why are Gavin Newsome and Karen Bass still in office?
Good question. Why are they still in office? Of course, you have here also a boycott now gaining steam. We talked about it before. Walmart. I already talked about that, didn't I? Yeah, I did. We have here, of course, also some other stories that are related to this, because I do think that this funding for, of course, these protests probably came originally from this USAID. Now we have some people, contractors, pleading guilty to bribing $500 million in contracts. Some people are now getting in trouble for all of that. That's now beginning to happen. We have, of course, also PlayStation 6. Apparently, Sony says its future platform's top of mind is PlayStation 6. They're focusing all their entertainment resources on making that and putting that as their flagship, apparently, for the future of consoles. You have also on top of that, Mark Hamill talking about our president on The View, saying he's full of Sith. Check this out.
Just last month, on May the 4th, my daughter's birthday, the White House posted this AI image on the Instagram account. Did you see this, and what was your reaction to it?
Well, first of all, I thought if he's a Star Wars fan, he should know he should be holding a green lightsaber. Not an evil red lightsaber.
Well, maybe it's I don't know.
A little bit of a mistake, although I do think there was at least one on the good side, the Jedi side, that did have a red. I've seen it before. I've seen it in some Star Wars, but most of the time it's usually the bad guys that have it. We have, of course, leaked Grand Theft Auto 6. Apparently, the storyline was so dark they decided to cancel it, and they're going to replace it for this game, Grand Theft Auto, which, of course, I've never really been a fan of that. It's amazing how popular it is, but I always thought the game genre was pretty crazy anyways. But they apparently have a storyline that's too dark, and they're replacing it with something less. It's basically a drug crime storyline, but it goes really dark, I guess. So they're going to try to fix it and make it a little bit less unpleasant, maybe, or something. They're talking a little bit about it in that article. Of course, we're making a game. I actually had a meeting with the guys at our studio, JIL Games, yesterday, and he was showing me all the map. They have the entire map put forward. He has basically the map all created, and he has like thousands of folders with all the different sections that will be put into the map. And literally there's two separate games inside the game. We have a maze game inside the game, which is essentially, it auto changes the maze every time you enter it. The maze changes every time, and it also can change while you're playing it. It's crazy. And it's essentially sort of like a supernatural maze, and there's going to be like creatures in it trying to get you, like minotaurs and stuff like that. So it's pretty awesome, pretty hyped about that. We also have a zombie section. It's not actual zombies, but it's more like a tribe that took a certain substance and it turns them into zombies. And that's actually, both these sections are actually in the playthrough of the game too, but we actually have separate entire games for it also. And it's pretty awesome, man. I got to tell you, I've seen some of the footage yesterday. It looks really awesome. And you know what? I might show a trailer in this video. I'm not sure. Either this one or maybe in a future video. But if you're interested, you can go make a donation to the game. And also it's an investment. $400 investment in the game will get you a seat of 33% of the Noah VR profits. So you will be sharing that with 700 other people. 33% of the profits will go to you and 700 or 699 other people. We have, of course, over 100 shares left. I'm not quite sure how many. We've had people get in it again, more. It's $400 for each seat. Link is in the description if you're interested. We also have a number of other stories to get into as well. We have here, this is kind of interesting. This was at a Jelly Roll concert. Jelly Roll is a famous singer. He was singing the song Hard Fought Hallelujah, and then this happens. Check this out.
Jelly Roll just FaceTimed me to tell me that a double rainbow broke out while he was leading Hard Fought Hallelujah. Check this out.
So, of course, that was kind of interesting. You're seeing, of course, God changing our society for the better. You're seeing things happen around us. Also, I think I mentioned, did I mention this? I forgot to mention the story. We have also the irony of ironies. We have a believer who is on that, fans, of course, sites. She apparently is still a, virgin. And someone, again, was trying to offer her a contract, a multi-million-dollar contract, to lose it. And apparently they did this 6 months ago, and they did it just again, which is insane. And it's so, it highlights the world we live in. Okay. It highlights the world we live in. I wanted to ask you also what you thought about a few other topics besides this. This was obviously a big one. We have Nala is going to be at TP USA. And of course, now she's like one of the big speakers there. I don't know if you saw that or not. Yeah, here we go. She's actually, and it seems like Charlie Kirk is trying to promote her a lot now. Let me see if I can pull this up. I had a thing open earlier. Nala TP USA. This is obviously a conservative thing. Yeah, here we go. Well, this isn't the whole picture. Here it is. Here's the picture. Let me show you this on the screen. Here we are. Okay, here it is. You can see that it's got a list of everyone that's supposed to be there. Young's Women's Leadership Summit, confirmed speakers. You got Tulsi, a lot of different people, Brett Cooper, Allie Best Stuckley, however you say her name. Riley Gaines is the swimmer. Leela Rose, she's the one I think she's a Catholic, right? But then you got down here, you got Nala Ray, which I just find it absolutely astounding that it just shows you our society, how screwed up it is, because she was a former Fans, of course, model.
Yeah.
And now she's like a top literally what I said happened. I was like, she's just trying to get she's trying to convert because the fans thing is too old she's getting too old for the fans. All right. We got to switch the business up. Let's get over here and get into in the Christian realm.
Look, I wouldn't be surprised if while you just said it, the Christian realm, I wouldn't be surprised if she tried to pivot to some sort of being some kind of minister. I'm going to tell you, and this is something that gets said in the sort of red pill men's kind of spaces. Of course, I don't agree with everything that's said in those spaces, but
yeah, neither do I. But
but there's a lot of stuff that's said that is spot on that has been ignored for a long time. Had what has been said in that space been listened to long ago, many of the things, the issues, particularly issues with respect to coupling, would not be nearly as severe, as bad as they are now. But one thing that gets said is that the final form of a 304, the final form is born again Christian.
Well, and now some people are going to get offended because they're going to be like, well, you should be able to give everybody a chance. This is the whole point of the gospel, is people get saved and they change. Look at Apostle Paul, right? And all these type of people who are at one time on the wrong track and then they get on the right track. But in this case, what we're pointing out is we've noticed that some people will use this sort of as their get out of jail free card. Matter of fact, that's where it first started. I think you would see people would end up in prison, and then to get out early, they'd be like, oh, I got converted, I'm a believer now, and they would start preaching, and they would be able to shorten their sentence to get out of prison, right? And in some cases, it might be legit. Some cases, it might be completely fake. And in the case of a woman, we're taught in society that you should go to school for a long period of time, get a job, work, and then eventually get married. And by the time you get married, you almost can't have a kid anymore. And our society's just so backwards now. It's not like the old days.
But here's the thing: who is telling women to do that?
It's not the Bible, obviously.
No. What I'm saying is, so the issue is, there's a certain, there's a feminist, thing happening,
right?
And it's encouraging women to continue to stave off, coupling. Wait until you have your career together, and plus you don't want to depend on a man and all of this kind of stuff. But everybody has known that women have a limited window for reproduction. Right. That is basic information. Everyone knows that. Women know it when they try to push beyond what that period is, because they get, what do they call it? Baby rabies. They get that's all they can think about is having a kid. It's because there's a natural place. You get up to a certain point in time and it's like, oh snap, I haven't had a kid yet, and your biological clock is ticking. Oh snap, what am I going to do? So everyone knows what's happening, including the women that are continuing to wait, listening to some of this bad advice.
At any rate, that's my video. I kind of wonder what some of you guys think. Let me know in the comment section below, and thanks for watching.